this computer. So good morning, everybody. Today we're covering lesson 8, which covers the topic of templates. What we have done so far in lessons really 5 through 7 is create the foundation for our website. We have created the basic structure for the pages, and we have styled it using CSS. Now we're ready to add content. If we were to base the rest of our pages on what we have, which you could do, or we could do, is that if you make any changes to the nav bar, the header, or the footer, I mean, you're obviously going to have different content on every page. So the left and the right side and the main content here in the article are all going to be different on each page. So that's a non-issue. But if you make a change, for example, to something simple, like you want to add or remove or edit the nav bar, you would have to change it on every page. You have to remember to do that. So by adding or creating a template, it allows you to make that your principal template, the principal page from which child pages are created. And then when you decide that you want to edit any parts of your template, it will automatically update the other pages. Okay, that's what's sort of nice about it. So instead, if you have, a very small website with 4, 5, 6 pages, to just save each of these pages that we have created here from lesson 7 as a different page and add different content to it wouldn't be a big deal. But what if you had a website with 100 pages or even 50 or 25 pages? Then that gets to be a bit much after a while to do that. So you probably want to base it on a template. So that's what we're going to focus on. Before we turn this into a template, a couple of things that I need to make sure that we go over, just to make sure that we're on the same page. Okay. As you recall, for every lesson, we have to go to Site, Manage Sites, make sure that you have a site named, and this is the one that I have for this semester is Art 196 Spring 2021. I'm going to go back into there by double clicking, and I'll click on the folder to make sure that I link to the lesson 8 folder. That will become my root folder for this lesson. Okay, so I'm going to choose lesson 8. In addition to that, make sure, because every lesson has an image folder, and right now, if you're not careful, your image folder could be linked to the one that's in lesson 7, and we need to go back in and select local info here, and I'm going to click right here and make sure that I have the image folder that's in lesson 8. Okay. So if I select the image folder inside lesson 8, and we can see with this lesson, we have a few more images than we've had in the past. We have a couple that we will add to the sidebar, but we have a biking image, we have a shopping image, and a sprinkler image. In addition to that, we have the ones that we've had on the other lessons, the fern and the stripe. Okay, so I'll make sure that I choose that, and I click Save. And now I'm ready to go. So before we create a template, there's a couple of things that we want to add. One is that we want to go down to the bottom here. And I don't know that you can see that well, but I'm going to pull up the properties panel just so you can see this. Is that at the bottom here, what you want to do is you want to add a document title to that. And that's what comes up in the tab in the browser. It's also, it assists search engines in finding your page. So rather than just put home page, about page, portfolio page, anything like that, on all of my websites, I make sure that I put Kmart 66 or Kirk Miller Art or something like that. And then I put after that with a hyphen or just a space or something like that, my home page, so that Kmart 66 or Kirk Miller Art is unique, and that will aid search engines in bringing me to the top. Otherwise, if you don't do that, and you just use homepage, there are millions of home pages. So it really won't help. So that will be the first thing that you do. And remember that let me go ahead and put this back down here. There we go. That if we go to the split view, and we look in the head of the document, okay, we come down here under, where are we here? Under title, it says green start hyphen about, and then there's a closing tag for the title. So you want to make sure that you do that. Now, in addition to that, what we can also do, there's a couple of more things that we can do that can aid in searches. Or when a page is searched, what comes up when you do a Google search? What does it display? So probably the next thing that we would want to add is a description. Okay, so what I have here, I don't have anything yet. I have, the title, but after that, I want to add to that a description. So what you do is we go to insert, and we come down here to HTML, and then down here we can add description. So I forget what the book wants, and it really doesn't matter, but I'm going to put this website is dedicated to learning more about how we can better serve the world and humanity by conserving. Now, as I said, I don't know if that's what the book has or not. It's not important, but you might want to consider doing that. And as soon as I click that, you'll notice that when I come in here, let's look in here and see where it is. Right here. It's right after HTML, language, English. It's something that when you use Dreamweaver, you don't have to put, but it's important for browsers to let end user know that the language that is being used is English. Here's the meta name description, and this is where it is. This is when this pops up in a search engine like Google search. This will be the first thing that will show up. It says this website is dedicated to learning more about how we can better serve the world and humanity by conserving. Okay, so that's what that does. Another thing that will aid in search engines is that you can also go to insert, and you can go to, again, HTML, and you can add keywords. I'm not going to do that for you today, but when we do that, let me go ahead and bring that up. Why isn't it popping up? Let me do that again. Let's come back up here, make sure that this is selected. So let's go back to insert, HTML, and I want to add keywords. There we go. So you would want to probably put, for your own personal one, the one that I've used for my website is Kirk Miller, Kirk Beat Miller, Kirk Brian Miller. So if anybody puts in any of those combination or one of those combination of searches, it would aid in finding me. It could also be maybe because I'm associated with Cerritos College, put in Cerritos College. You could also put in that I teach graphic design or in the art department, so arts, fine art, things like that. Typically in the past, these were really important in assisting search engines in finding you. And they wanted you really to limit your search to maybe 25 keywords, but people went overboard with that. So it really doesn't help that much anymore. It's more important that you add a description. It's especially important that to each document page, you add a title to it, and that will add a lot to the search engines. Okay. So the next thing that we want to do now with our page, and we can test this again, we can see that when it goes down to a small screen, we go from a 3 to a 2 column, and then when it goes down to a smartphone, okay, and even the smallest phone, notice that we created our own media query here for a really teeny tiny phone, that it looks, that it looks really good for each of the screen sizes. And we created an adaptive or responsive website. Okay, so now we want to create child pages from this so that we can add additional content. And that's what really the remainder of the lessons are. 9 through 12 are different ways of adding content to pages. Okay, and whether or not you will use all of those is a separate issue, but it's really important to hang on to all of these so that in the future, when you're creating your own website, and if you are doing it from scratch, that you'll have a better idea of how to do that. Okay. So what we want to do, and I've already saved. So if I go from CSS Designer and I switch to Files, I can look and you can see the little folder has been created called Template. Well, I'm going to attach this template, but normally what you would do is that you would assign or create a new template. And that's what we're going to do. And notice the extension that's been added to the end of it when you do that. It's .dwt, which stands for Dreamweaver template. You do not upload this to the server, to your host. It's not necessary. It's used locally alone, and that's it. So now what I want to do that is if I go to File, and I want to say Save as a Template, and you'll notice that it's grayed out. And I'm thinking to myself, what the heck is going on? Why can't I save this as a template? It's because one of these strange things with Dreamweaver that sometimes you cannot make changes or edits in live view. You're going to want to switch from live view to design view. And when you look at it in design view, it looks all messed up. But it's fine. Don't worry about it. But now I can go to File and I can say Save as Template. Now I already have one called Existing Templates. It's Green Start. So that's the one that I'm going to attach to it. Okay. Now, because you shouldn't have a template that exists, you're just going to name it and name it Green Start, and you'll add it. I don't want to add another template to this. I guess I could call it Green Start. Let's go ahead, instead of existing, let's write a save as Green Start Spring 2021. Because you can have multiple templates if you so choose. So I'm going to save it as this. So I don't want an existing one. I want to save this one. So let's see if it saves it as an additional one here. So update links, yes. And now when I twirl down, you'll see that I have a new template for this semester. Okay. So now I can switch back to live view. Okay. And I'm thinking to myself, do I begin to add content to this page? Because you'll notice that instead of the HTML page, it's no longer an HTML page. It's a Green Start Spring 2021 template. Okay. You do not add content to this page. You create child pages from this. If I want to create a child page from this template, then you do the following. You go to File, and you want to create New. And then we go from not New Document, but from Site Templates. And you'll notice that I have one for this that I just created called Green Start Spring 2021. And if I create, I'm ready to go, right? But I can't add anything. Everything is grayed out. And that's what you want to initially begin. You want it to, and you'll notice that the page is untitled. So that's where we will name this, maybe about, or about home, or something like that, about us. Okay. That was what I was talking about a few moments ago regarding title for this. But so how do you add content to the template? Well, what we have to do is we have to go back to the template and we have to create what are called editable regions. And on our page or our website, we're going to only have 3 editable regions. We will have the left aside, we will have the main content or article, and we will have the right aside, and that's it. The rest will be locked. Now, should we decide to make changes to it, you have to go back to the template, and then when you modify the template, it will automatically update all of the pages, whether they are open or not, that have been generated from that template. So let's go ahead and create some editable regions now. So I'm going to come back in here, and I want to select the entire aside. So I'll do that by selecting the tag, using the tag selector. And then what I want to do is I want to come up to insert, and I want to go to, wait a minute, template. And again, notice that I can't add an editable region. It's all grayed out. What's going on? Why can't I do that? Okay, well, now I have to go back to design view. And I forget about this every semester. I really do. I have to review just to make sure that I remember. Or if I know that something is grayed out for some reason, I switch to design view. And now what I can do is I can go to, and that usually helps me solve the problem. So now I can go to insert and I can drop down to template, and notice that I can add an editable region. So I'm going to call this editable region left aside. You can name it whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Okay. And now what I want to do is I'm going to switch back from design view to live view just so I can select the main area. But when I click in here, nothing happened. I can't see anything just yet. So I want to select inside the main article. And let me go back. Let's see if I can't do that. Am I in the template? Gotta make sure that I'm in the template. So let's go ahead and save the changes to it. Okay. And now let's try again. Let's go back here. Let's click inside, anywhere inside there. And now what I want to do is I want to select. Now I'm in the template, so why isn't it allowing me? That's what I was talking about, that when I want it to fail, it doesn't, and when I don't want it to fail, it does. So when I'm inside the green template here, let me switch back to design view and see if I can't now select anywhere inside the main content here. And then use the tag selector and either select, I don't want main row, I just want to be able to edit the article inside it, inside that main row. So now with that selected, I will go ahead. And this is where selecting in Dreamweaver can be quite awkward sometimes. You want to make sure that you double check, triple check that what you're selecting is accurate. Now I can go back again to insert, and I can go down to HTML, the template, and add editable region. And I'm just going to add, name it main content. Okay, so there I've added another editable region. And you'll notice a little blue tag at the top here, main content, left aside, and then I'm going to name this one right aside. So I'm going to click over here in the right aside, use the tag selector to make sure that I have the right aside selected, the entire aside. And then I want to go to insert template, editable region, and I'll name this one right aside. And I click OK. Now I want to make sure that I save the template. So I'll go ahead and I'll say, save, just save. I can just save. Okay. And I'm set to go. So now what I want to do is I want to go to my new page, and you'll notice that the editable regions have been added. I can go into each of these areas and I can select them now, and I can add and edit content. And that's what we'll do in a few minutes. Okay. And they provided the content for us. Any questions so far? No? So what I wanted to show you though is that we only have one child page created so far. But you know, what if we had 100 pages? And we decided that instead of Green Start Home, we just wanted it to be Green Start or just Home. That was all we wanted. So let's go back to the template itself, because remember that it's locked. I can't click up here and edit that in my child page. So if I come back here to the Green Start, and instead of Green Start Home, maybe I just want Home instead. And that's all, you know, just simplify it. So now if I go ahead and I hit Command S to save, I go ahead and I click Save, and I'm good to go. But watch what happens when I go back to the untitled page. Notice that it has changed. So whether I had, I only have one page, but whether I had 5 more pages or 500 pages, it really wouldn't matter. And it doesn't matter whether they're open or closed, but it will generally prompt you and it'll say, do you want to update these pages? And you're going to say yes, that that's what you would want to do in most instances. And then that's what you would do. You would make those changes. I'm going to undo that change and bring it back, and I'm going to save it just to show you what happens. Now, if I change, let's begin to change some of the content here. Let's start with the main content for here. So what we want to do for this, let's change this. This is going to be about many, instead of insert main content here, this is going to be about Meridian Green Start. So that's what this is going to be. So I'll type in about and make sure that I have the untitled page, or what I will name as About Us. So about Meridian Green Start. Okay. Now let's go ahead and let's change the title of the page to About Us. We already did. Green Start About. And let's go ahead and save that page. I don't want to save it as untitled. I'm going to call it About Us, but I'm going to name it Spring 2021, so I can differentiate from each one that I create. So I'll name it About Us Spring 2021. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and save it. Okay, now let's go back to the template. Let's switch from design view to live view so we can see. You can see that it still has insert main heading here. Anytime you change the editable, any of the editable regions in the child pages, it does not revert back to the template. It's only when you make changes to the template that it will prompt you and ask you, do you want to change all of the title pages from that? So now, you know, and this will apply later on when you're designing your, for the final website, when you're designing your own page, and it will be, or your own website, and it's based on the pages that you have created in the lessons, that you can start with lesson 7 or lesson 8, and you can go back in and you can either change it to a 1 or a 2 or a 3 column, you know, leave it a 3 column format. And all you have to do is change the style sheet, and that's it. And then maybe add to or remove the links that you need, and save it in a new folder for your root folder, and you'll be set to go. It's something that's fairly common in web design. Rather than, you know, we've got, you know, then reinvent the wheel and build all of your websites from scratch, you'll probably want to use, you know, have maybe 1, 2, or 3 different templates that you'll use on a regular basis, maybe more. And then you'll start with those, and then you'll go back in and then you'll customize them for yourself or a prospective client. Okay, it will save a lot of time so that we don't have to add all of the style sheets. We only have to edit them. You don't have to create the basic structure of the page because that's already done, and it will go much quicker. Okay, that would be my strong recommendation. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create or add some more content to this. So let's go ahead, and we have the subheading that we're going to add. So I'll continue in here with this, and then we'll be done for today. Unless you want me to go, I can switch to MobiRise. But what we're going to do here is this is going to be green start. Green awareness and action. Okay. So for you, typically for your heads and your subheads, you're going to just type it in. You don't have to, but for example, where it says insert content here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to switch again to, I'm going to highlight it, but I'm going to switch to design view. And with that highlighted, I want to make sure that that is highlighted down here, that paragraph. And let me see if I can do this without too much muss or fuss. Sometimes I get goofed up here. I'm going to go back into, where is it? I'm going to close the templates, and I want about us, rich, this is in resources, the resources folder. I want about us text, rich text format. So now I can highlight all of this, you know, or just, I can say select all, and I can copy. Okay. And now I can go back and I can, with insert text here, I can go ahead and I can paste. Let's go ahead and see if I can't paste that. No, it's not doing it for me. So if I just select it from here though, let me select it from here and then paste. Now let's see if I go back, this is going to be the tricky part. I'm going to go back to live view. And that's what I didn't want. Notice that it took all the paragraph breaks away. So I'm going to undo that. I'm going to go back to where I was here. And let's select this now, just the P tag. And in live view, I'm going to go ahead and hit paste. Come on. Oh, come on. Select it again. P tag. There we go. Make sure that the blue is selected and hit V. And that was the ticket. So notice that it pasted all the content, and I can get rid of this last one here where it says insert content here. I can get rid of all of that. So it'd probably be easier if I go down to the code view and highlight the opening and closing tag and get rid of that. And it's a very quick and easy way of inserting content that you have created elsewhere. So, you know, when you're designing your own website, either in Mobirise now or for the final website, which will be derived from the lessons that we're doing in Dreamweaver, take the content that you've already created and just copy paste. That's what I do on a pretty regular basis with my own website or for others. Okie doke. So we've got the main content done. They have created for us some more content that we're supposed to put in the asides. So that's what I want to do. I'm going to click in the left aside, and let's go ahead and replace that. So I'm going to double click, or I already have it open. I believe I do. Here is, if you double click on it, it's an HTML document, and it says sidebar 8. So if I click here, we can see that we have content already. So if I click in here, I want to see what I have here. And this says that this is I'm replacing an entire aside. If I click inside here, paragraph, notice that that's a block quote. Okay, and if I click in here, there's the site. So I can come back in here and there's a paragraph. This goes to the next section. But if I click from the site and I go and I highlight all of it. So I want, not the body, come on. I want from here to Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Oh, come on. I just want all of that highlighted. So I'm going to copy that. Let's go back to our about. And now let's go ahead and I'm going to click inside the entire aside. Come on. Going to let me to do that or not? I want to click inside. Yeah, I didn't click the entire aside. So probably I should have done that and made that editable. What I could do is I could select the block quote inside it. That should be editable inside there. So let me go ahead and yeah, I'm going to go back, and I thought I had made the entire aside editable, and I didn't. So I need to go back to our template, and let's go back and change that. Let's go back to the template. And let's select the entire aside, okay? And so that it becomes editable, because I only select the region inside it. Remember, I only aside, I thought I selected the whole aside. Block quote, let's go back here. So the whole aside is selected, and let me go back and insert. I got to switch. Remember, I got to switch back to design view. And I want to insert template or maybe edit. Let's see if I can't edit instead. Oh, come on. Edit. I'm going to go back to insert, and I'm going to go to template, and I want to go back to editable region. The selection already contains or overlaps an editable region, repeating, or that's okay. So I need to go back and remove that editable region that I had from before. So let's select this aside and let's remove it. Now let me add that again. So I want to make sure that the whole aside is selected, which I don't remember whether I did or I didn't from before. So I'm going to go back to edit and I want to go to, I'm sorry, insert, template, editable region, and I'll name it left aside. Okay. Space. There we go. Let's make sure that we've updated it and we've saved it. And notice that it's asking us, do we want to make changes? Update the file for About Us Spring 2021 HTML. Yes, I do want to update it. And if there were other pages, would it want us to make those changes as well? So now I can close that. Let's go back to About Us. Now, this got goofed up. So I messed up, again. So I'm going to have to go back and I'm going to undo that change. So I really only want the content. I'm going to go back a couple of steps and bring that back. So I only wanted the content. So let me go ahead and delete it again, but instead of the whole aside, I'm going to go all the way back to block quote and see if I can't edit the basic content from there. So let's go ahead and delete that. So it's kind of good that I'm goofing up a little bit here. So I have the whole block quote selected, not the whole aside. And I'll go ahead and insert template, and I'll go to editable region from here, and I'll call it left aside. Okay, save changes. Should warn me, yes, I want to update. And okay, we'll go ahead and close. Now let's go back and see what we have. There we go, that came back. So I have the left aside that's been changed, but notice that no content has been added. It's sort of a, but now what I can do is I can select this area. And let's see if I can't just come back in here and paste. Yeah, see, it's kind of goofing up. So I want to make sure I can either do this by hand, or I need to go back and retrace my steps and do this more accurately. So let me go ahead and pause the recording for a minute, see if I can't fix this. Recording. So yeah, I've goofed up here. I'm going to go back several steps. Let me go back and redo that. Okay. So I don't know whether I have, how far back I've gone now. Did I add these or not? Let's go back and redo that. Okay, so I'm going to switch. I'm going to go back, and since I goofed up, I'm going to go back to another one that I did here. So this is where we want it to end. Okay, so if I come back here, this is an editable region here. I'm going to go back and I'm going to open up under templates. I'm going to open up the Green Start template and see where I messed up. It's probably what I should have done from the get-go. And I'm going to close these other ones here. So don't save. Don't save. Save. And let's go back with our Green Start template and let's select in here. And I'm going to create where I have the About Us page. And you can see that I have an editable region. And it actually is after block. It's after the aside where I was able to insert the entire block quote. So same goes for the content on the right now. We want to apply and edit all of that. So let me go back to my start page here. Let's go back to About. And here's my editable region. So let me see if I can't go back and add the content to this. So if I come back in here and I take the entire aside, that's what I want to change. And I'm going to go back to the page that we opened here. That's the, where is the content? Here it is, okay? So I want to take this entire aside. Let's try that and replace it. So if I take all of this, and let's take the whole aside, and I'm going to copy it. Now I'm going to go back to my not my green start template, but I'm going to go back to About. And with the entire aside selected, I'm going to go ahead and paste. Nope, didn't do it right. So I'm goofing up here. Let me go back again with a green start template. Or actually, I didn't want that. I wanted this. I want all of this aside selected. There, it's all selected. Let me make sure that it's all copied. Command C. Let's go to About. And again, with the aside selected, let me go ahead now and paste. No, it's not taking it all. So I'm going to have to come back to this. We're running up to the end of the hour, and I'm goofing up here. So I want to fix these two things before. I had great luck before when I was practicing for this, and you can see that this all works really nicely, where I've added the left aside and the right. And actually, when I was doing the main content, it worked really well. You can always do it manually, but it's easier just to paste into those areas and then fix it. Okay, so my apologies. I'm going to come bring this down here. We'll fix this later. In the meantime, what I want to do is I want to bring up MobiRise and show you that for the remaining 10 minutes here. So here I have, I'm presuming everybody can see MobiRise. Yes, no? Okay. So what I would recommend is once you have added your content, you know, the basic templates that they provided for you to start from the top and work your way down to the bottom. So let's start by editing the nav bar. And so what I can do, this is what I created last time. By selecting the nav bar, maybe I want a black nav bar instead. So what I can do is I can highlight the little gear after I've selected that nav bar. And instead of the hamburger being black, I want it to be white. Instead of the color being white, maybe I want it to be black. So I'll select black. But notice that all the text is hidden now. So now I need to select all of the text in each of these, and I'm going to switch to either white or a light gray. Let me select that again. Come on. I'll pick a light gray. There we go. So now we can see it. The same holds true for the rest of these. that under the menu item, under color, I'll select a light gray, and notice that it changes the whole menu. So now I've made the changes that I want for that. If I want a different image for my, my media, then I need to change that. Notice that here are some others that are available. So let's go ahead and select this one right here, just for the heck of it. This is one that they have provided. Maybe this one would probably be better. Let's go ahead and click. So this is where you would place your logo. And likewise, if I click back in here and I edit again, like where I have this pop-up or this menu here, where it says block, I don't want that. So where I have buttons, that's where I would turn that off. If I want little icons with this, I would have to select again, and I come back in here and notice that icons is turned off, but if I turn that back on, I can go ahead and I can add icons. Okay, for example, for right now for Facebook or for Instagram or any of those, I prefer right now to turn them off. So I'm going to go ahead and do that again. I'll turn the icons back off, and they were there. They're just in black. I didn't change them to white. But let's go ahead and change some of these. Instead of about us, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the menu here. Let's take about us. And I'm going to add. So I have 2 about us. And then I'm going to take this one and I'll leave contacts alone. But instead of about us, I'm going to change the name of it. So I just highlight it and I'm going to name this one my home page. Okay. And instead of services, I'm going to highlight that and change the text to portfolio. Okay. So now I have my links that are adjusted. But what I also need to do is that I need to link them to the correct sections on the page. So I want for about us, where I have it here. Notice I misspelled about. I want it to link to this section. So to do that, I click on here, scroll down, and notice that there's a little link button here. I click on here, and now what I want it to do is I want it to link to not a web address, I could, not to an email, not to a phone number, but to a file on our page. So let's look to files. No, we don't. Hold on here. Let's go to the page. I want to go to the page and I want to link it to a block on the home page, since we only have one page. So here's the top of the page. Here's the header. Here's the content. That's what I want, content 7.4. This is where I want it to link. So I'll select to that and I'll insert the link. So now when you click on this, and if I preview this, it will link to that. The same goes for the portfolio. Since it's a one-page website, I'll click link and make sure that page is selected. I want it to link to a block on the page. If I had additional pages, I would select those pages and I could link to specific blocks on those pages. So let's come down here. These are features. I don't want that. I probably want to add another link to that, but here's the gallery. So I'm going to link to the gallery. So I'll insert a link to that. I'm going to go ahead for the content and add a link for that. And I'll repeat, do the same thing. Go to the page, go to the block on the page, and I want it to go to here, the footer. Okay, insert link. So now to test this, we can go ahead and preview in browser. And I have my browser up here. And this is how it's going to look. Now, if I go to home, it just takes me there. Why did it go there? because that was the default one that I did not change. So I'm going to go back, and that's a correction that I need to make. But if I go to About, it goes to there. If I go to Portfolio, it goes to there. That's working. If it goes to Contacts, that works. So I need to change the home link. So I just want it to go to the top of the page. So instead of HTTPS MobiRise, that's, it's going to theirs and open in a new window. I'm going to go to Page, and I'm going to go to the block on the page, and I want it just to go to the top of the page, or select the header. Okay, so I'll insert that link, and I can test it again, make sure that it works, and then move on to the next section. So as I move on to the next section, I'll probably want to, just change the title of this. And then I want to select my own image for the background image. So, welcome to Kmart 66. Highlight the text, and I can put in my own. This website is dedicated to my new and experimental artwork. Period. Now, do I want this here, this little button? Well, I need to click here. I need to click on this little tag, and where it says buttons, I'll turn that off. Leaves it alone. Now I'm ready to import a separate image. And notice that we have an image for the background. I can click on here, and I can click from one that they have provided, or I can select one of my own. So let's select one of my own just to see what it does. And there we go. Okay, so now I've made several major changes. It took me but a few minutes to create the basic structure of my website. I had everything already prepared. So now I'm ready to add more content, and I'm simply copying and pasting and checking the links to make sure that they work. Okay, so we've run up against our hour today. We're about done for today. And I apologize for messing up on the last part of Dreamweaver, but I'm going to go back after our webinar is done, and I'm going to see where I messed up, and I'll fix it for next Tuesday. And we'll continue with this next Tuesday, and we'll continue with the MobiRise next Tuesday. Okay, so if there aren't any questions, that will be it for today. Any questions from any of you? Yes, no? No? Okay. Okay then. Well, everybody have a good weekend. Start working on MobiRise and work on lesson 8. Remember to change your root folder and your image folder that's contained within that, and then follow the lessons in the book. And it shouldn't be too difficult, even though I screwed up the left and right asides. We'll go back and we'll fix those and show you where my shortcomings were. As I said, it's not hard to mess these up, but you have to pause, as I've done, say, I messed up. I'm going to remove those asides from that new template and then build on it and see, where I messed up. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to say goodbye for now. Have a good weekend, and I'll pause the recording and